Here's going to be a ranking of all theatrical Looney Tunes films. This comes off the heels of the newly released The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. If you know the history of Looney Tunes on the big screen, you know it's not exactly every day they have a new film that comes out in theaters, so it's not like there's a whole lot of opportunities for Looney Tunes movie ranking to be appropriate timing-wise. There's not a lot of films to go over for this ranking here, and again, I'm only doing ones that were released in the theaters. For the record, I'll say now that I'm not including Who Framed Roger Rabbit in this ranking. While Looney Tunes have notable appearances in the film, especially in a history context and their pairings with their Disney counterparts, those scenes are legendary and my personal faves of all time. However, these are still cameo appearances and therefore don't make it a Looney Tunes film. It'd be like me doing a ranking of all Sonic films and including Wreck-It Ralph or Chippendale Rescue Rangers on that list. For the record, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is probably my favorite movie of all time, so if I did include it in this ranking, you can probably guess where it'd land on this list.
Yeah, ain't I a stinker?
If you still have a problem with it not being included in this ranking, off.
This means war.
By that same logic, Gremlins 2 won't be included here either. Anyway, with that out of the way, this ranking will go from worst to best, so sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. 2003's Looney Tunes Back in Action is a more genuine attempt at a real Looney Tunes movie without the gimmicks of Space Jam. It's a film though that's been lost to the ether as it was a big box office bomb when it came out and culturally overshadowed by both Space Jams. On the positive side, the animation and voice acting are fantastic. Post Mel Blanc, I think the late Joe Lasky was the best voice actor for Bugs and Daffy. On the technical side, the movie is fairly good in regards to combining the 2D animation and the live action setting. The only movie to do it better was obviously Who Framed Roger Rabbit. If only these great technical resources were put to use in a good story, and not a shitty, superficial spy story that gets worse the bigger it gets. I think the Warner Brothers, Las Vegas, and Paris segments are fun enough. All the other settings like Area 51 or Africa, not so much. Everything when it comes to the human element in this film is atrocious. While though you do have to endure some awful acting from your live action cast, the chemistry and writing for Bugs and Daffy is on point, nailing their frenemy relationship, especially Daffy's desire for stardom.
Shouldn't have to play stooge to that long-eared carrot-chomping overbite challenge.
What's up, Doc?
The movie also makes good use of Looney Tunes bad guys like Yosemite Sam and Marvin the Martian. Sadly though, notable Looney Tunes like Tweety or Porky get minimal screen time in the film. The movie probably would have had something if it just scaled things down and went to the basic plot of Daffy being fired, because the whole spy angle was a big miss.
Looney Tunes Back in Action!
Space Jam: A New Legacy starring LeBron James was the long-awaited sequel to the original 90s classic. A standalone follow-up would be the best way to describe it. Plenty has been noted about the film's low points, but I do think there are legit story and character improvements on the admittedly shallow elements of the first film, like upping the story stakes for our NBA superstar, some genuine attempts at a heart when it comes to the story with his son, or how the Toon Squad gets motivated at halftime. LeBron's acting was rough at first, but I thought it did get better once he was animated, and once the actual game starts, I thought he was fine, to be honest. The ensemble element of this movie when it comes to the Looney Tunes, though, is awesome. There's a cool family type element for them, similar to the 2011 Muppets movie, with them in a getting the band back together type story, with Bugs Bunny appropriately being at the heart of all that. And also, I didn't think the changes to Lola were that bad, unless you're a real furry, I guess. All this would have made for a great experience had the movie not been so f***ing overstuffed. I think the whole Warner Brothers serververse was actually a pretty cool setting, and I didn't even mind the initial use of Warner Brothers films when it came to bringing back the Looney Tunes, especially the Mad Max part. That was pretty cool with Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. But once the actual game starts, it's just ridiculous visuals seeing these poor cosplays of Pennywise, the Penguin, Jim Carrey's The Mask, and a plethora of others on the sidelines. And it's just too goddamn much. The actual basketball game, the centerpiece of the film, is too much, unfortunately, as it just drags on too long and gets exhausting. The only thing that got me through it is that the CG visuals do look pretty good. There was a lot of money put into this film. And even though he's hamming it up, I did enjoy Don Cheadle as the film's antagonist, Mr. Al G. Rhythm.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
It's a film you can find plenty to criticize about. Some of the creative decisions here are just baffling. But there are fun things in it that I'll always defend whenever someone says the film is complete garbage.
Well, that happened.
The recently released The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, was a smaller animated film with hardly any promotion. It has the style and flair of 1940s Looney Tunes replicated in the recent HBO Max cartoon series, and the appropriate insanity when you put Daffy and Porky in an alien invasion type story. There's a good amount of elements that really work here, like honing in on the ups and downs of Porky and Daffy's relationship, some effective alien takeover moments, and thankfully excellent 2D animation that's sharp, fluid, and fits the Looney style perfectly. Now, due to the nature of the film, it's not like I was ever super invested in the story stakes, and also I would have appreciated the film utilizing more Looney Tunes characters than the pig and duck. But there's enough zany fun and surprising elements like Petunia Pig that made me enjoy the film and would like to see another Looney Tunes film in this style, with the other characters ideally an ensemble type film. From a pure filmmaking and competency standpoint, it is the best Looney Tunes film, but I guess my 90s nostalgia has me keeping it at number 2 for now. "1996's Space Jam" is one of those signature VHS tapes of mine that I wore the shit out of from rewatching it too many times to count. To my younger elementary school self who loved basketball and Looney Tunes, it was a dream combination. The world's greatest basketball player and the world's greatest cartoon character teaming up, it's like the movie was made for me. Removing my 90s nostalgia, the movie was more of a product of its time and capitalizing on the megastardom of Michael Jordan and the resurgent popularity of Looney Tunes in the 90s. While the movie definitely reflects this shallowness, it's genuinely funny, a great crossover of Looney Tunes and NBA stars, without all the extra overstuffedness of the sequel. It doesn't waste time in giving you plenty of the NBA element and Looney Tunes shenanigans, in a basic story setup, but one that's helped greatly by the Monstars being some fun, iconic bad guys. But most importantly, the movie had a fan-tastic soundtrack. This is part of my holy trinity of original movie soundtracks, along with Into the Spider-Verse and Black Panther. Several of the songs featured here are among my favorites of all time. For many reasons, though, it's not a good movie in a traditional sense. But if you're the right audience for it, there's a great amount of fun to be had. And it gave the world Lola Bunny, so there's that also.
The girl's got some skills.
And there you have it with the ranking of all Looney Tunes theatrical films. As you can see, not a very robust history on the big screen when you compare it to something like The Muppets. And this is despite being Warner Brothers' signature characters. But I guess it's just tough to come up with an ideas for a theatrical adventure, or for it not to get canceled like the Wile E. Coyote Acme lawsuit movie. You can look up that weird concept if you ain't heard of it yet. I wouldn't exactly hold my breath for another Space Jam, but I think it'd be cool to see another film in the style of The Day the Earth Blew Up, or a hybrid film like Back in Action, just with a better story. Given its smaller size, the opening weekend for The Day the Earth Blew Up was solid, so here's hoping for another Looney adventure sooner than later. But with all the Looney Tunes media being removed from Max, it makes you wonder what the future holds for Hollywood's Looniest stars. Anyway, that'll do it for this ranking of all theatrical Looney Tunes films. If you made it to the end of this video, that's all, folks.
Can I go home now?